Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I know I mentioned that I had a couple of really fun, exciting palettes on the way, and one of them arrived. This is the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory palette from Storybook Cosmetics. I have been super excited for this one ever since they announced it. I loved the Wizardry and Witchcraft palette, of course, just because I love Harry Potter, but I thought it was really good quality, and I've really loved everything that Storybook Cosmetics has come out with since then. So here is their next book palette that just released. It is adorable. So let's see. There's the cover. You have the beautiful gold detailing on the side. On the back, you have a little blurb. It says, this kind of is on all of their palettes. It says, once upon a time, there were three sisters who never stopped believing in fairy tales, and they all lived happily ever after. So this palette, they actually did get licensing to do. That's why this looks just like the book from Ronald Dahl. And on the back, it actually even says, well done you. By buying this eyeshadow palette, you've helped another child. 10% of all Ronald Dahl income goes to our charity partners. So that's really cool. I didn't even know that's something that they were doing. So let's get into looking at it. So when you first open the palette, you get your very own golden ticket. Just a really adorable touch. It says Wonka Golden Ticket, 1st February, 10 a.m. Many wonderful surprises await you. So that's just a really cute touch there. And on the inside, you've got adorable kind of candy Wonka bars, golden tickets. You've got your nice giant mirror that Storybook always has. This time it says, tremendous things are in store for you. And then the best part, these are the eyeshadows. These are just some gorgeous, gorgeous bright colors. And the one thing, I know they noted it on their website, but it is slightly scented like chocolate. So I think it's nice and subtle. I don't think it's too overpowering. I know sometimes the Too Faced scented products can be a little kind of in your face. This is just kind of a subtle, kind of almost like a vanilla chocolatey type of scent to it. So I think it's really nice. All right, so let me do some swatches for you real quick.
Okay, first up we have Charlie Bucket, which is just a gorgeous iridescent kind of white gold shade. Next is Snozberries, which is a beautiful reddish orange matte color. Then you have Augustus Gloop, which is a very, very light kind of transition, kind of a khaki shade. Then you have Mike TV, which is a gorgeous bright matte teal shade. And then Willy Wonka, which is just really pretty shimmery iridescent purple. It's got some shifts in it. It's very gorgeous. Then you have Oompa Loompa, which is of course a matte kind of orangish color. Then Fizzy Lifting Drink. This one is a shimmery, almost like a light gold, but it's got a lot of chunky kind of glitter in it. Then you have Veruca Salt. It's not a pure white, it's almost kind of a grayish white, but it's still a good kind of like a highlighting color. Then you have Everlasting Gobstopper, one of my favorites. This is just a beautiful matte kind of pastel pink shade. Then you have Violet Beauregard. This is such a beautiful purple. It's almost like a matte purple that has silver specks of glitter in it. It's just beautiful. Then you have Wonka Bar, which is just a traditional chocolate brown. And last but not least, you have Golden Ticket, which is just the perfect, shimmery golden color.
All right, so there are just so many beautiful colors in this palette and so many different directions that I could go in. So I think I might make this a two-look kind of video. I think that that's just the way to go because I really want to use these purple and pink shades, but I'm also really drawn to this kind of red and yellow orange, and of course the golden ticket. I have to use that shade. So I'll just do a voiceover so that it won't take so long, and we'll knock two looks out.
Alright, to start out, I'm using a fluffy brush and going into the shade Augustus Gloop, and I'm just using this all through the transition and making sure that I get it up on the brow bone as well. Next up, I'm going into the shade Mike TV with that same fluffy brush and just working this directly into the crease itself, trying not to go too high up on the brow bone. You'll notice this is a very, very pigmented shade, so you have to be kind of careful where you place it.
Now
Now I'm taking a more tapered brush, going back into that Mike TV shade, just so that I can really deepen up the actual crease part itself. And I decided to go ahead and bring that Mike TV shade down onto the inner and outer corner of the lid itself, kind of almost like you were doing a halo eye. Next up, I'm taking a flat, fluffy brush and going into the shade Everlasting Gobstopper, and I'm placing this on the inner portion of the lid that was left blank, almost in like a arching rainbow type of pattern, leaving just a little bit blank in the center. I'm trying not to blend the colors together too much. I really want that separation. Next up, I'm taking a flat brush and I'm spraying it with some setting spray and going into the shade Violet Beauregard. Now, I started out by just wanting to place this on that little center portion that was left blank, but then as I started looking at it, I decided I wanted to kind of bring it out and make it almost like a liner instead. So I went ahead and did a very thick purple line, but it still kind of arches up in the center, so you still kind of have that arched rainbow layered feel. Then, to make everything kind of match the new shape I decided on, I went back into Everlasting Gobstopper and brought that pink out just a little bit more so that it was a bit more flared out and met with the purple a bit better. Then, taking a little flat brush and using some setting spray, I went into the shade Charlie Bucket just to add a nice pop of brightness and shimmer to the inner corner. Now I'm wetting a flat brush and going back into that Violet Beauregard shade, and I'm using this to line the entire lower lash line. Then with a pencil brush, I'm taking Everlasting Gobstopper and running that right underneath the purple shade just to blend everything together and kind of smoke it out a bit more. And just for fun, I decided to go into Mike TV with my pencil brush and just add a little bit of that color right to the outer corner of the lower lash line. All right, so now I just added some mascara and filled my brows in.
All right, guys, so this is the first look. I love this. The eyeshadows were so easy to work with, which I mean, I kind of already expected just from their previous palette. I absolutely loved this shade right here, Violet Beauregard. I mean, I'm usually not, like, I love purple, but I usually don't like using purple eyeshadows because they get really patchy. This one, I mean, I used it with a little bit of a wet brush, so it really kind of stood out, but I love the sparkle in it. I love that it's kind of like a matte purple with shimmer, and that shimmer does stand out. I'm seeing it, I can see it on my lid right now. So, and then this pink and the green, they were super pigmented. I mean, I'm really impressed, actually. And I actually really loved this color. I mean, it's a perfect little inner corner highlight shade. So, okay, like I mentioned, I really want to try kind of these like reddish orange tones. And of course, we've got to use Golden Ticket. We can't not use that. So let me take this off and we'll do the second look real quick.
All right, so I'm starting out with Augustus Gloop on a fluffy brush and just adding that through the crease, focusing on the upper brow bone area. Next up, I'm going into the shade Wonka Bar, and I'm just very lightly putting this through the crease, focusing more on the actual crease itself and a little bit onto the lid and the outer V area. And I'm adding just a little bit more to the outer V portion just to deepen it up a bit. Alright, now I'm taking a flat dry brush and I'm going into the shade Snozberries, and this is going to be placed from the outer V portion of the lid all the way to about halfway, and I'm not going to go up too much into the crease either, just kind of right where it meets that Wonka Bar brown shade. And now I'm going into the shade Oompa Loompa, and I'm using that same flat brush, still dry, and I'm going to kind of pat this over where the red Snozberry color left off and go all the way to the inner portion of the lid. Just like with the other color, I'm using more of a patting motion to lay down the color to get the most pigment possible. And now to tie all those colors in together, I'm taking kind of a thin, tapered, fluffy brush, and I'm using that Snozberry color just to kind of run it through the crease and add a little bit more of that red-orange depth in there so it's not just brown. And I'm also going ahead and flaring it out on the outer V area as well. Then to make sure everything is nicely blended, I'm going back into Augustus Gloop with a fluffy brush and just going over the brow bone to make sure that the red color kind of diffuses out. Now I'm taking a small flat brush and wetting it with some setting spray and going into the shade Fizzy Lifting Drink. This is such a gorgeous sparkly color, so I'm starting by just adding this onto the inner corner, and then I'm dragging it onto the inner portion of the lid as well as just a little bit under on the lower lash line as well. This just adds a really beautiful shimmer on top of that Oompa Loompa color. And then for a little extra brightness on the actual inner corner itself, I'm using Charlie Bucket just to pop that right on top. The bright pigmented shadow can tend to blend away a little easier, so I'm going back in with Snozberries and just making sure that that red orange really stands out on the lid. Now for the lower lash line, I am taking a flat brush and wetting it with some setting spray, and I'm going into Snozberries, and I'm going to just line my entire lower lash line with this color. Then I'm taking a pencil brush and going into the shade Golden Ticket, and I'm running that all along the lash line right underneath that Snozberries color and kind of overlapping the two. It almost adds a bit of a shimmer to the reddish orange shade. And I really wanted to do more with that Golden Ticket shade, so I decided to take a thinner flat angled brush, wet it with some setting spray, and I decided to use the shade as a liner. So I'm just kind of getting a good bit on the brush and just stamping it along the lash line just to make a nice kind of thick gold line along the lash line. Then I went ahead and winged it out on the end. And to help that wing stand out just a bit more, I dipped the brush into Wonka Bar and just made a simple kind of line right underneath the bottom of the wing, just so that it actually stands out and you can see it. Then just add some mascara and lashes if you want.
Alright guys, so this is my second and final look using the new Storybook Cosmetics Charlie and the Chocolate Factory palette. This palette is definitely a really fun addition to my collection. I mean, these colors are so much fun. I was able to do two really fun, colorful looks with it. For the most part, I didn't have any troubles, and I think I actually used every single color in this palette. The only one I didn't use was the Veruca Salt color, but I'll have to use that another time. And the only one that I had any problems with is this color right here, Snozberries, the kind of reddish orange. I just noticed that in some cases, like once I started blending in Oompa Loompa kind of next to it, it kind of blended the color away a little bit. Not to the extreme that I had to kind of deal with the Subculture palette, But even with that palette, I was able to make it work. I just find with shadows like that, with like a very intense matte that's very pigmented that can tend to blend away, the easiest thing to do is kind of blend your color and then go and pat some more color on top of it. Not blend, just pat. And that's what I did here. And so for me to get like the really standout color, after I was done blending all my shadows, I just took the brush again and patted it on, and no problem, it looks great. So that would be my little suggestion to you. I mean, just because one shadow works a little differently than the others doesn't mean that you can't still use it and get a great look. And I still think that makes me still love this palette. So I did want to just mention, because I don't think I mentioned it in the beginning, but I did check on their website and this palette is currently in stock. It retails for $55 and it's not a pre-order. I think I purchased mine like a week and a half ago or something like that, and it arrived this weekend. So they're in stock, you buy it, it ships out, and you have the palette, so you don't have to wait like months for it like a regular pre-order. And yeah, like I said, it's $55, which is the exact same cost as the Wizardry and Witchcraft palette, same size and everything. And I personally do feel like the quality of the shadows is the same. I mean, all the things I liked about that palette I feel is the same in here, and I think this is the only one that feels a little bit differently in terms of how the shadow works, but it's still a beautiful color, and I'm really glad that I used that color because I'm glad I was able to show you, you know, it's not perfect, but you have to kind of do some work with it to make it look like you want it to look, because I want it to be bright. You could definitely make it kind of a blended out subtle color, but so I hope you guys enjoyed this little review and double tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go, and thank you for watching. Bye guys.